What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the Heat Report, and today's video is going to be a very fun video, one that I was trying to plan for a while now. And since a lot of my exams for college are over, I had a lot of free time to plan this video out, and I'm going to be previewing the Miami Heat's free agency in 2021. I know the regular season is still going on, so I might have to do a part 2 of this video depending on how these players play in the playoffs. But as of right now, the regular season is almost done, and we've kind of gotten a good gauge of what people's value could be in the off season, or whether we should keep some people or let them go. And I'm here to break down the Miami Heat's cap situation with who they have as expiring contracts, team options, unrestricted, restricted free agents, all that stuff. Make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think about my takes on these free agents. It's okay if we disagree. That's all about opinion. If you guys have a different opinion than mine, that's completely fine. This is just my opinion as of right now. So let's get right into it. The first player who is an unrestricted free agent for Miami is someone that we traded for before the deadline, Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza is 36 years old, and he is averaging currently 8.5 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, and 2 assists pretty much. I think Trevor Ariza has been one of the most underrated pickups of the trade deadline. He's had a very good impact on our team. He's filled in that Jay Crowder void really perfectly. His game doesn't really rely on his athleticism. He's a very high IQ player, so even with his high age, if he can shoot the ball and play defense, that's all we need from him. And he's still shown that he can play defense at a very high level. I remember when we were playing the Portland Trailblazers, he was the one guarding Dame. It wasn't even Jimmy. So he's shown that he's capable of guarding a lot of players. I think at this age, Trevor Ariza, could be a guy that we might say maybe let go. We don't even know if he's gonna retire. But yeah, Trevor Ariza, I think if he's willing to play, still in the NBA, I definitely think we should try to re-sign him. Probably on like a veteran minimum though. I don't think we should, attempt to do much else with him. We did kind of make a mistake last year throwing out a lot of big contracts to players who have either underperformed or haven't really done much. So Trevor Ariza, I think, would be great to have back on a veteran minimum. Something like that, not too big of a contract, but he's still a very valuable asset to this team right now. The second player is Nemanja Bjelica, who is also an unrestricted free agent, and currently with the Heat, he's on the season, he's averaging 6 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Bjelica, it's unfortunate what's going on with him. We traded for him, and he's not really been getting the minutes. I think his defense is really letting him down. Sometimes we put him out there for offense, and he's actually a very underrated playmaker. He's a guy that can put the ball on the floor. For his size, he's very smooth with the ball in his hands, but on the defensive end, he is a liability. So I'm not sure if we should bring him back, especially because he's probably going to want a larger contract. I think anywhere under 10 million, maybe under 5 million, somewhere in that 5 to 10 million range is probably what I'd be willing to pay Bjelica, especially when I'm seeing his role right now. He looks like he's pretty underused. So yeah, Bjelica, he's probably going to want 10 to 15 mil. I'm not sure if I'd be willing to pay him that. So if he wants that much money, we're probably going to have to let him go. But then again, he could be willing to take a pay cut. I just think that he can be used more than we're using him right now. So he'll probably want a bigger role and dip in free agency, especially if he's getting a bag somewhere else. So yeah, that's my take on Nemanja Bjelica. The next unrestricted free agent is Dewayne Dedmon. I don't even need to tell you guys twice. Give Dewayne Dedmon the supermax right now. I'm obviously joking, but yeah, Dewayne Dedmon, I think we can re-sign. He's only 31 years old. Compared to Bjelica and Ariza, that's not even that much. Bjelica's 33, and like I said, Ariza's 36. So Dewayne Dedmon still looks like he can be serviceable as a backup center. I still think Precious is Precious is better suited to be a 4 than a 5. I said the same thing about Bam. I really don't want to see Precious play the center, especially because his hands are not really that great for a center. Like, Bam can get away with it because he can catch a lot of things, Precious's hands are not that great. So I think we can mold Precious into a power forward if we re-sign Dwayne Dedmon, because our backup power forward situation is kind of lacking. KZ, Spo inconsistently uses him. Sometimes he uses him, sometimes he just gets DMPs. I think Precious is a guy that we're gonna have to start using next year, especially when he gets a summer league and a full rookie season under his belt. I think he'll be more comfortable, but I think Dwayne Dedmon needs to be re-signed, especially with the production that he's giving us right now. I mean, his player efficiency rating is 31.09, which is absolutely ridiculous. He's averaging 6 rebounds, and he's only doing this in like 13 to 14 minutes per game. He's producing really, really well. So I think Dwayne Dedmon should be kept. How much money? I'd be willing to give Dwayne Dedmon a solid 8 to 10 mil. I wouldn't be mad. 10 mil for Dwayne Dedmon, I don't think would be a bad contract. I think Dwayne Dedmon deserves the way he's been playing right now. I think he plays really, really hard. Somewhere, that 8 to 10 mil range, maybe 5 to 10, somewhere like that, similar to Bielitsa. Except I don't think Bielitsa will take that much. I think Dwayne Dedmon will, because he is a backup player. Bielitsa is a guy who starts on a lot of teams. So yeah, I'm gonna say somewhere in that range for Dwayne Dedmon. Hopefully he takes that money and re-signs back with us, because I think he's a really, really underrated pickup. I think he's probably the most underrated buyout signing that anyone's had. And the last unrestricted free agent, or not the last, second to last unrestricted free agent, is Victor Oladipo. This is the big one. This is probably the biggest one of the free agency, Victor Oladipo. Now, Oladipo is currently, averaging 20 points per game on the season. His rebounds, assists are all pretty good. The only thing about him is his injury history. And I still think we should re-sign him, because I don't think we should have traded for a dude and then let him go after half a year, especially if we haven't even seen him play. I firmly believe the Heat and Oladipo will come to an agreement for something, and I think he will be willing to take a little bit of a pay cut. I wouldn't be mad with 20 million for Oladipo, but anything like above 25 is pushing it for me. I don't think Oladipo is worth more than that, especially with his injury concerns. I think if he shows that he has the ability to be healthy, I think that I would pay him 25 any day of the week, because when he's on the floor, he's a very productive player for us. But it's just a matter of fact that this season has been a very up and down season with his injury record. So I'd say 20, somewhere around that 20 range, 15 to 20. He turned down a max from the Rockets, so I don't know if 20 is gonna cut it. But since it's Miami, he's wanted to be here for so long, maybe he'll be willing to take a pay cut. 20 is probably realistic. Some of y'all would probably not even pay him 20 mil, but I do think that it's gonna have to be somewhere in that ballpark. There's no way we're gonna be getting away with paying him 15 or 10 to 15. It's gonna have to be in that 15 to 20 range, and that's what I would probably take Oladipo back for. The last unrestricted free agent is, of course, Udonis Haslem. Now, I love UD as much as the next guy. I think it's time for UD to step down as a player and go into that coaching spot. I think that UD, as an assistant coach, will probably bring the same that he's bringing as a player. He's not getting any minutes whatsoever. He's literally played 0 games this season. He's there as a locker room guy, which he can still be there as an assistant coach on this team, or someone in like a front office role. But it's, I love UD. He's a Hall of Famer, a Miami Heat Hall of Famer. But I just think he's taking up a roster spot that we could get from signing another free agent or drafting someone in the future. We don't have a pick this year, but having UD on our team is, I don't want to say waste. I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but he hasn't been doing anything at all like on the court. The things that he's been doing on the team, he can still do that as an assistant coach or as a member of the front office. I really do want to see UD, be involved with the Heat, because he is still Mr. Miami. But as a player, I think the time has come for UD. He's already 41 years old. And yeah, so that's my take on UD. Let's move on to the team options now, and then we'll tackle the restricted free agents at the end. The team options, Goran Dragic is the first team option. This is probably very controversial as well. I would probably try to restructure that team option for 10 million or under, because he's making 17 right now. That's his team option, 17 mil. There's no way he's worth that with the way he's been playing. He hasn't been playing bad, but like, it's not the same Goran Dragic that we've been used to. It's 13 points per game, 5 assists. That's cool, but you know, Goran Dragic has definitely fell off from what he was last year, and hopefully he can turn this around in the playoffs, which is why I have to say I might have to make another video about this free agency situation, depending on what these guys do later in the season. But as of right now, Goran Dragic has not shown me that we are ready to accept a $17 million player option from him. I do think that it can be somewhere in that $10 million ballpark, similar to Dwayne Dedmon, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, I think Goran Dragic is also getting up there in age, and you know, we still have to be mindful of the fact that he's 35, and there's gonna be a time where he starts to, you know, he's already showing that he might be starting to slow down, as much as, you know, people hate that. Yeah, man, I think Goran Dragic, you know, somewhere in that ballpark, I think would be a good signing to come back when we restructure that team option. Otherwise, bro, we might have to let him go, because all these other guards are probably going to be on this teams. I haven't even got to the restricted guys, but we have an abundance of guards, and one of them is gonna have to, you know, take a lesser role, and it might be Goran Dragic if we re-sign him. But I think out of all these, you know, the 5 main guards that I talked about in one of my previous videos, he's probably the guy with the bleakest potential, because he's already 35, and right now I don't think he's playing better than any of them. So somewhere in that, you know, 10 mil ish ballpark, maybe 12, 8 to 12, I'd probably say for Goran. I think I'd be happy with that. The second player on the team option is Andre Iguodala for $15 million. Now Andre, I love what Andre does to this team. You know, he's not a scorer, but you know, he's a guy that he's a very, very, very good defender. Kind of brings a lot of similar things to what Ariza does, except I think he's a better playmaker and a worse shooter than Ariza, if that makes any sense. I think he's a guy that can bring the ball up, he's a high IQ guy who can pass. You know, he has some of the best hands in the league with his defense. He can strip anyone. And I think, you know, his 3-point shooting is a bit streaky. You know, he's only shooting, I think, about 30-something% from 3. So he's not like a reliable 3-point shooter, but he's still a guy out there, you know, on that 3-point line. And I think he's a guy that Spo really loves closing out games. So Iggy, I think, can come back, but I think it's gonna have to be on a vet minimum. I don't really see any other contract for Iggy. He's already 37 years old. I don't even know if he wants to retire. He might be retiring after this season. I'm not really sure. But if we bring him back, it's probably gonna have to be on a vet minimum or something along similar with Ariza. You know, the similar contract value to Ariza is what I would say for Iggy. Now the restricted free agents, Kendrick Nunn. Now Kendrick Nunn, I do think we should try to bring back at all costs. Same with Duncan Robinson. I'm gonna put those two in the same ballpark. Duncan Robinson should be our priority. I think he brings a lot that we need. His shooting ability is something that, you know, goes really, really unnoticed. When he's on the floor, our offensive rating is really, really good, and he's really took strides on his defensive effort, and he's one of the league leaders in defensive win shares, which means he's a really good team defender. Duncan Robinson is a guy that I'd really, really want to bring back. He's a shooter, so he's gonna get a lot of interest, and people are gonna throw him a bag. We should try to match anything at all costs. No one's gonna throw him a max, but somewhere, if it's anywhere between 10 and 20, we should definitely match for Duncan, because Duncan is a guy who is so valuable to our team. I'd say the same with Kendrick. I wouldn't go 20 with Kendrick. I'd probably go 15 to 18. Probably 15 for Kendrick. I think Kendrick is a guy that probably doesn't have the potential, but he's one of the most consistent players on our team. And he's a guy who, whether he's off the bench or starting, can fill it up. So Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson, I think we should try to match anything or everything that they receive, apart from, you know, outrageous max contracts or 20 plus million contracts. I think anything other than that, I think we should be trying to see if we can match or offer them somewhere around that $15 million ballpark. The last two are Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, who are two-way players. I really like Max Strus because I think he's a guy who is a threat with his three-point shooting ability. I think he is a guy who we can convert into from a two-way to a regular NBA player. Gabe Vincent, hasn't really showed me on the offensive end what he's worth, but he's a pit bull on defense, so it's very good to have a guy like that. Those two are probably, gonna be back next season. I don't really see anyone throwing deals at them. So yeah, those two will probably be on the team next year. I just had to put them out there because they're like technically free agents. So I think that was it for all the free agents that we have. We have a host of free agents next year, a lot of free agents next year. And yeah, it's going to be interesting because there's still guys that, are available. Kawhi Leonard, I think Bradley Beal is a free agent. Yeah, there's a lot of free agents that are available, guys. So, I think free agency is going to be a dub next year. I really do think that free agency is going to be a dub next year. I think that, with all these people available, this 2021 class is very, very good. It's very deep. DeMar DeRozan is another guy. Norman Powell is another guy. John Collins is restricted, but he's still another guy. Kyle Lowry, people like that. Bradley Beal is not a free agent. I'm sorry if I said Bradley Beal. He's not. I thought he was, but I think that's 2022. The main guys are guys like Kawhi, DeMar DeRozan, Victor Oladipo, Norman Powell, John Collins, and Kyle Lowry. Chris Paul is definitely going to opt into that player option, so I don't even have to talk about him. But if we can get any of those six, apart from Oladipo, who I think we're going to get anyway, it's going to be scary hours. So hopefully, this served as a good preview for our free agency. I really wanted to talk about it. I don't really see it getting a lot of attention because we are still in the middle of a season. But it's something that we do have to focus on, especially because there are rumors that it might be coming before the draft, which would be a really good fit for us. A really good addition for us to have free agency before the draft, because number one, we don't even have a pick, and number two, if we did, it'd be a very good adjustment, because depending on who you sign in free agency, you won't have to take that position in the draft. So I think free agency should be, talked about, and we should be trying to foresee what we do in free agency, especially with the play of these guys. So hopefully this kind of served as an informational video. It was just my opinions as to who I think we should re-sign and who I think we should let go, and for how much money do I think we should re-sign these guys on our team. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. As always, man, leave a like and subscribe and comment down below. Make sure to leave your questions of the day in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.